Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm gonna talk about what to look for when you are buying a used 100 series Land Cruiser. First thing we gotta check is make sure the engine is working fine. And how do we check that? If the seller agrees, it would be very nice to remove the cover from the engine. This cover right here, it has a 10mm, two 10mm bolts and two 10mm nuts. Remove the cover. Once you remove the cover, you guys would be able to tell the health of the engine by looking at it, at the leaks. If there is any leaks, it would be more obvious. With the cover on, it's very hard to tell if there is any leaks going under it. So make sure to insist removing the cover before you buy a 100 series Land Cruiser. 2UZ has a cover, 1HD FTE has a cover, 1HZ has no cover. It's a simple engine. 1FZ FE also no, it doesn't have a cover. So let's start what to look for. The first thing we gotta check is to make sure it's not low on the engine oil. If it is low, look around just to make sure it doesn't have any leaks. Once that is checked, open the radiator cap, make sure the radiator is not low on coolant. That thing is checked good. Move on to the power steering. This reservoir for the power steering, it always have a slow leak, which can be fixed by tightening up the clamps or buying an aftermarket warm gear clamps. Look for the AHC. If the cruiser has AHC, make sure the hydraulic oil in AHC is at the correct level. After that, start up the car. Once you start up the car, let's start up the car. So if the car engine is cold, the fan is gonna be loud. Wait for a few seconds till the fan noise dies down, and when it gets quiet, open the engine oil fill lid, this one. Put your hand on the top of it. Engine is the heart of the car. If the engine is weak or bad, there is no point of buying a car with a nice body. So make sure the engine is strong. Put your palm on the top of it. If you guys can see any engine oil stains on your palm, or if it's making kind of a smoke coming out of this, I wouldn't suggest buying it. It means the piston rings are worn out and the engine is weak. It may have a bigger problem, so do not buy that car. Once that one is checked, remove the engine oil check dipstick, which is this one right here. If the smoke is coming from this dipstick area, that's also a sign of weak engine. So I would suggest not to buy that car. If the engine is weak, walk away from the car. That one is checked. Look under and make sure that the oil pan is not leaking. Oil pan leak is gonna be more common on older engines. If the engine is strong and the oil pan has a slow leak, that's not a big deal. You guys can fix it at home, as long as it's not the leak coming from the seal. Rear main seal leak, it's a lot of hard work to replace that. and I believe for that you have to remove the transmission. But there is also a way around that. How to fix it is to add some stop leak type of a chemical into the engine oil, which has 50% of chance of fixing it. So that's your decision to make, because the rear main seal is not an easy job. Okay, moving on. Check that the radiator has no cracks. Usually the radiator over here, you guys can observe it closely, there would be like tiny hairline cracks. That would suggest that this car needs a new radiator. Timing belt, ask for the timing belt. When was the timing belt replaced? Timing belt replacement is gonna cost you around from $1,000 to $1,800 depending from shop to shop. But if you have the mechanical know-how, you can do it at home. I have done it at home. I had no experience whatsoever, but I was following the book and everything turned out to be perfectly. Maybe I was just lucky. So timing belt is a very lengthy job, and I agree, when they charge that much money, I agree with them. It makes sense. Going under, make sure you know it's not rusty. There is no oil leaking from here, and all the suspension is fine. This skid plate or the engine shield or whatnot, it's a bit rusty, but that's not a huge problem. You can use some kind of sandpaper and then paint it again. If your car has AHC, look for leaks over here. It's usually a leak right over here. Let me check. Let me get the flashlight. I'm gonna give you guys a pro tip on how to check the engine. It's best to check the engine when it's cold. When you start a cold engine, and if it has any weird noises, you guys would hear it, because most of the time when the engine warms up, those noises go away. So look for this AHC, this leak and whatnot. Bring a flashlight with yourself, make sure that there is nothing odd going on. Tires, you know, a person like me, when I like a car and when I love the car and I'm going to buy it, I don't really care about the tires. I can replace the tires, but it still really adds up to the cost of the car. So make sure the tires are in a perfect shape. The tires are weak, you guys can negotiate with the seller to sell you, to give you a discount, so you guys can use that money for replacing tires. The second best thing to look for, the thing that can cost you a lot of money, is transmission. The only way to tell if the transmission is bad is to drive the car. If just by looking under the car, you cannot really tell if the transmission is bad or not. Yes, you look for the transmission pan oil leak. If it has a slow leak, that's an easy fix. You guys can do it at home, not a big deal. I wouldn't leave a car because of that. Okay, after that, these are just the main points. I'm not gonna go into like minute detail. Once the car's engine and transmission checks out, the second thing I would suggest, the third thing I would suggest, is to look for the interior. There are some things that can really cost you some money, serious money, to fix those things. One of them is VGRS light. If you guys are buying a car and it is from 2003 to 2007 and it's a Toyota Land Cruiser or it's a Lexus LX470, Those came with VGRS, and there was a recall on that VGRS, and if yours hasn't been fixed in that recall, it's gonna cost you thousands of dollars to fix it, probably around $3,000 to $4,000. There are certain VIN numbers that were covered by that recall. I'm not sure. You guys have to Google search what VIN numbers were affected by that recall. So if you guys go to I Hate Mud and search or ask some professional, hey, if they know from what series VIN numbers were affected, you guys would be able to tell if yours was a recalled one or yours is safe. If the VGRS, if it is from 1998 to 2002, don't worry about the VGRS. The easiest way to find if your car, the car that you guys are buying, has a VGRS is put the key in the ignition. Let me show you guys. And there's this VGRS light that will appear for a few seconds and then it will disappear. If you guys see that VGRS light, that means that your car is VGRS equipped. Then check all the power windows by lowering each window individually, and also trying to control them from the master switch. If the windows have some hiccups, if it's not lowering or if it's not functioning fine, you guys would be able to tell by checking it out. Check the air condition. I don't really require air condition because this place where I live is always cold. I only care about heater, and in summer, whenever the cabin is hot inside, I just open the window. So if you guys are in a hot place, make sure the air condition is working and it's blowing cold air. Check the heater, make sure the heater is functioning fine. If you guys buy, let's say if you guys buy a 100 series Land Cruiser, there is one thing that needs immediate attention if it was not replaced by the previous owner, and it's called heater T pipes. So those heater T pipes, it's those plastic pipes, they get brittle, and if those fail, it can really destroy your car's engine, and your car's engine can run hot, and it can cause a lot of problems. So once you guys buy your car, go ahead and replace those heater T pipes with a brass fitting. Don't get the OEM pipes, plastic ones. You guys can, I have it on my channel. If you guys search on my channel how to replace those heater T pipes and where to buy it from, you guys would find it out where to buy it from. Some 100 series Land Cruiser came with this touch screen type of climate control. Some has manual control, some has touch screen. So with the passage of time, you know, those touch screen quits working, but you guys can easily replace those. Finding another screen for it is not that easy. I mean, finding another screen for it is easy, but you guys, if you want to do it by yourself, it's gonna save you a lot of money. The touch screen on mine was pretty fine, but the audio system was very outdated, so that's why I replaced it with this aftermarket Tesla style Android head unit. So it's been almost more than a year and a half. It's working fine. Buying these units, I would suggest to buy it from a good seller. Don't buy on yes, these are usually sold on AliExpress, but These are the price range for these are from, you know, $80 to $600. If you guys are saving money and you guys buy a one that is, let's say, $80 or $160, it may give you problem in a long run. But if you guys go with a good hardware, with a better processor and a better RAM, then it's not gonna give you a problem. But don't sell your original. Keep the original with yourself. Other than that, I would suggest to drive the car. Once you guys drive the car, that would be the best way to tell if this car has any transmission slippage or if it has any rough idling and whatnot. There are many dishonest sellers that would, like, you know, reset the check engine light, and it works fine, but once you guys buy it and drive it for 6-7 miles, it's gonna, you know, show up check engine light, and then it may cost you a lot of money. And I got burned a couple of times by dishonest sellers like that. One more thing to look out for is, you know, if you guys are if a car is getting sold by a seller, and the seller is saying, hey, you know what, this car is in a very nice shape and it has a little bit of misfire, and I was told by the mechanic that it may need a new spark plug or a new ignition coil. That's a big no-no, because, you know, ignition coil, spark plug is not that expensive. If you guys can replace it at home. If it was that easy fix, that seller would have fixed it prior to selling it. But that could mean that the engine compression is low, and low compression engine will cause a misfire. And I lost actually $7,000 on a deal like that, because there was a dishonest seller. He said, hey, I'm selling this car and it has a misfire, I don't have time to fix it, and I was told by the seller that it could be a spark plug or ignition coil, and I don't want to deal with that type of stuff. I have no knowledge of mechanical know-how, and I try to, you know, and I thought to myself, oh, I'm being a smart ass, I think it's a good deal for me. So I would buy this car and then replace the ignition coil and then sell it for a profit. But actually, once I bought that car and I replaced the ignition coil, the misfire didn't go away. Then I replaced the spark plug, the misfire didn't go away. So after spending some hours, I was able to find that it had low compression on one of the cylinders. So low compression can cause misfire, and if you guys can verify, yes, it's a spark plug, yeah, go ahead, buy it. But if you guys cannot verify if it's a spark plug or ignition coil, no, walk away from it. Some people, some people, they ask for service records of a car. If you guys are paying top dollar for it, yeah, it's good to ask for a service record. But recently, a couple years ago, I was selling an 80 series Land Cruiser, and I was asking $6,000 for it. It was 1997. It was in a nice shape, but I was tired of that car because it had horrible MPG and it had lots of leaks. So I just wanted to get rid of it, and I mentioned all those things in my listing. Hey, these has leaks and blah blah blah. So one of the interested buyer, he asked me for all of the service records. Say, hey, I'm interested in buying your car, but I would like to get a service records for it. And said, I told the buyer, I'm not asking $60,000 for this car. I'm asking only $6,000 for it, and I don't have the service records. And if you are really diligent and keen about service records, you should buy it from a dealership, or you should buy a little bit newer car. So I wouldn't leave a car if it has no service records. I would just go ahead and check it myself. If everything checks out good, fine. If not, I will just walk. What's the point of service record if the service record shows you, oh yes, the oil was changed on time, but if it has a, you know, low compression, if it has leaks and whatnot, so what's the point of it? Now one more thing is, ask the seller if the seller can let you drive the car for at least 5 or 6 miles, you know, so that would be better. In that 5-6 miles range, it can, you know, really show you guys if the brakes are weak, if the transmission is slipping, or if the car is idling bad. In a nutshell, all you guys need to look for is make sure the transmission is not slipping, make sure the engine has no blow by, make sure all the electrical components are working, make sure the check engine light is not on. If the check engine light is on, if you guys, I would suggest to carry a scan tool, which is like $15, connected to a DLC3 data link port 3, and you look for the history codes. If it has any history codes, you guys would be able to tell if those were erased. That's pretty much it. So I wish you guys good luck, and if you guys still are curious, you guys can ask me questions, or you guys, the best thing would be is to take it to mechanic, give a mechanic $100, $200, and let them inspect the car that you guys are buying.